So I'll begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the lands in which we meet, the Gubbi Gubbi and the Yinaburo people. We might just all kind of pause for a moment and pay our respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. I don't know about you, but I find it quite comforting to think about the traditional custodians on this land many years ago. And I was kind of, sometimes when I'm sitting out here, I think, I wonder if they ever met like we're meeting today, maybe right here in this spot, for the same reason that we're meeting here today, to acknowledge and to remember. So Chittamani has hosted 27 memorial services. Some have been right here in this lovely little courtyard. Some have been other places in the community. And then during COVID, we've done some online. But this is the first one in a while that we've been able to have to be face-to-face. So thank you all for coming. We know it's not easy to come to something like this. And we know there's parts of remembering that aren't always easy. But remembering is important. So today we come to remember the people that we cared for. We celebrate the lives of those that have died. Maybe being here at Chittamani and connecting with us has you thinking about remembering about your role as a carer and what that meant. And then I guess we think about where we are now with our life and what of those bits we've brought forward with us. We hope today that you find meaning in those reflections. There's a very good chance that the person that you're sitting next to has had a similar experience and is here reflecting in the same way. So it's nice that we can come together and support each other as we're reflecting. Thank you. So I'll introduce our first speaker today. We have Venerable Lawson. Lawson has a long-standing connection with Chittamani. She was on our first board many years ago. And since then, she's provided support to our staff and our clients over many years. So we welcome her and thank her.
So, good morning everyone. Does that sound right? It sounds terrifying to me. No? How about that? Is that better? How's that? Yeah. Okay. So good morning everyone. As Meg said, I've been involved with Chittamani for quite some time in different roles. I'm not on the board now, so that's one less thing. So these services, they're a wonderful opportunity for us to remember, and all of us, not the carers, the staff, all of us, we come to remember and reflect on the people we've known and the people who aren't with us anymore. And we've come to know you through an incredibly difficult time in your lives. So the Buddha taught that we have many lifetimes, past and present, and he taught about the inevitability of our passing from this life. Not to make us morbid, it's uncertain, the time and people, how long people live. We don't have a set time, but when he talked about it, it wasn't to make us sad or morbid or feel depressed. It was that we make the best use of the life we've got, that we do the things that are meaningful for us. And one of the Tibetan teachers has said, as we search for meaning in death, we often find an inner wisdom, compassion and understanding. A close encounter with death can bring a real awakening, a transformation in our whole approach to life. It can bring reduced fear and deeper acceptance of this inevitable time that comes in our life. It can increase our concern for others and a wish for us to help them. And as we gain that clearer perspective about our life and what's important, This can give us a greater sense of the importance of living each day well. So His Holiness has said that the purpose of our lives is to be happy, and true happiness doesn't come from selfish actions that ignore or neglect others. And all of you have done the opposite of that. All of you have done those things that bring happiness. It's from cherishing others and caring for them. And this is a way to nurture the other person and ourselves. And I've seen so many examples of people caring for their friends and their family, and much more than they care for themselves, people put their own happiness right to the back, caring for other people close to the end of their lives. I've sometimes had to remind carers about how important it is that they look after themselves as well. And so in Buddhism it's considered important that we have a peaceful mind leading up to time of death. And we all know that having a peaceful mind at any time is really nice, but it isn't always possible. But it can be really hard to even think of having a peaceful mind in such a difficult time. But if we can do this allows us some space to reflect on our life and different people and the different circumstances that have shaped us. So we've got this physical body and we've got a mind or a spirit or a soul, whatever you call it, this non-physical aspect of us. So when we get to the time where treatments aren't working as well as they used to and our body is a bit overwhelmed, we can also, with a serene mind, reflect on our spiritual life, the inner life that we have, not just religion, but the way that has guided our lives and helped us in our life. I've met people who rejected religion and say to Chittamani, I don't want anyone talking to me about religion, and they want to make sure and they check with me when I visit. I don't want to know about religion, and that's fine. That's fine. That's up to the person. Sometimes people do want to talk about their religion. It's certainly not all of Buddhism. But they want an opportunity to talk about their spiritual life to someone who could just sit while they talked about their inner life and what the things that meant to them in leading their lives. So we can all start to develop and reflect on our inner life. Sometimes people talk about things that bothered them for decades and they weren't sure that they could talk to their family about because the family might be upset. And they didn't want to upset them, but they wanted to talk to someone. And finding the words to express that requires this calm, peaceful mind. And all of you who've cared for someone towards the end of their life, you've contributed to that. You've allowed them to develop that space where they have found the words for what one man said, things that are too difficult to broach, too hard to talk about. And whether they then tell their family or not isn't important. You've given them that opportunity to find that space and actually put into words what it is they want to be free of. It doesn't matter who they tell to the people, it's just having that opportunity and to reflect on some of the things that we regret or that harmed us and things like that. We have to have that peace. I was a primary carer for one of our nuns at one time, and I faced all those various challenges that you face with the physical body and with the emotional upsets, all that sort of thing. And often when I thought about what do I do about this situation, I reflected on what you carers had done, how you'd managed these things, and that helped me with caring for this in this situation. And so we're fortunate to have had Chittamani staff to help us through these difficult times, and it's in so many ways to have friends and family around us to help. But it still can be very difficult. It can be very challenging. So you've given all the people you've cared for, family and friends, a great gift, a great opportunity to stay at home or to have friends and family around them, whatever it is that they've wanted, you have put in effort to provide those things or arrange for someone to deliver those things or whatever it is. The ice cream for breakfast, whatever it is, that's it, you know. I said that to someone, it doesn't matter, don't forget about the diet. And she said, the doctor said that to me. I said, well, that's because it's the prescribed diet. But there's so many different things, you know, that are challenging. So one of the Chilmarani nurses who doesn't work here now, she said to me on a number of different occasions that we just meet the most amazing people in that work to be able to do. So the qualities we need in these situations, they're very difficult situations, and we need unending patience and tolerance and courage. And just as you gave those to the person you cared for, you know, now it's the time to also give that back to yourself. Care for yourself in just that way. You may not want the ice cream for breakfast, but if you do, have that, yes. So Nick Cave, some of you would know, the singer, Bad Seeds. So his son died, and he was asked how he dealt with the death of his son, and some of his reply was, grief and love are forever intertwined. Grief's a terrible reminder of the depths of our love. Like love, grief's non-negotiable. It occupies the core of our being and extends through our fingers to the limits of the universe. I feel the presence of my son all around, but he may not be there. Dread grief trails bright phantoms in its wake, and these spirits are ideas that speak of possibilities. Follow your ideas, because on the other side of an idea is change and growth and redemption. So create your spirits and speak to them. It's their ghostly hands that draw us back into the world, better now and unimaginably changed. So I'd like to finish reading a poem by John Gillespie McGee. I'm not sure who he was, but he wrote this lovely poem called High Flight. Oh, I've slipped the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter-silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed, enjoying the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds, and done 100 things you've not dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence. Hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up the long, delirious, burning blue, I've topped the windswept height with easy grace, where never lark or even eagle flew. And while with silent, lifting mind I've trod the high, untrespassed sanctity of space, put out my hand and touched the face of God. So thank you.
Thank you, Nelson. Our next speaker is Judith Newman. Judith also has a long connection to Chitterman. She's been joining us for this memorial services for quite a while now. So, thank you.
Good morning to you on this beautiful morning. You don't know each other, but you really do. Because this morning we gather in a solidarity of mourning. I am keenly aware of the work you must do to grieve and mourn into what must appear to be a very uncertain future. A future into which you are unsure how to step. Unwilling and not really wanting to let go of the hand of the person you have lost. As you navigate this path of letting go and tackle the emotional storms that hit you every day in different ways, please know that in this brief time that we share, I join you fully in that journey. Some of you, or all of you, may have experienced a very common companion to your recent grief, and that companion is regret. Regret for the things that you did, or the things you didn't do. Regret for the things you did say or didn't say. Regret for your own emotional responses to the illness and death. And regret for the wishes that you couldn't fulfill. Regret can quite quickly and stealthily attach itself to our memories, so that we can't remember gladly without its presence. Regret can also intrude into your sleep, your reflections, and your inner conversations. It can actually overwhelm you, preventing sorrow from being the balm that time has always allowed us humans over the ages. I'm here today because I want to offer you another way to look at this issue of regret. It's the holy month of Elul for Jews, in the Jewish calendar, a month where we reflect on people we've hurt or things we've done that weren't our best self. We look at our speech and our actions because over the year we've inevitably failed to be a good person. And one of the struggles you will have as a mourner is holding yourself to a much higher standard than you hold anybody else. None of us will navigate the transition from life to death perfectly. We can expect that we're going to be clumsy and inept and plain just miss the boat. In this month, particularly, we're required to forgive ourselves. Ourselves first, then others, and then God. More on that later. But have you experienced moments when well-meaning friends and family suggested that perhaps your loved one was in a better place, or no longer in pain, or finally at rest with departed family? Did you experience a reaction to those consolations that surprised you? Death is not a subject that many of us are comfortable with. When we do try to fill the void and be helpful or say something, but we do serious damage to our attempts at condolence when we react out of our own bias, our own pain, and our own experience. This is why the Jewish mourner is protected by their community for the immediate grieving period called Shiva. Condolences are not offered in the traditional sense. The death rituals and passages assume that the mourner has food and care and comfort, but without the need to placate the grief. Just quiet presence at the grieving home and lots of casseroles. You mentioned you get lots of casseroles. The Shiva house is quietly observed because there is little that can be said to make the death better. It is assumed that you, who mourn, are not okay, that you're not really in a normal space or of a complete mind. You are forgetful and uninterested in many of the things that used to fascinate you. You are considered, from a Jewish point of view, as having a wandering soul. Why do I say all this to you? Because when you are assailed by grief and you see regret perched right alongside your grief, it's like you're trying to walk hopping on one leg. You won't get far. With regret, which really does begin to feel like guilt, several things happen. Your heart races, your face flushes, you feel shame, and all of that is added to your grief, to your wandering soul. We should turn a different face to our sorrow. It's okay just to sit in the silence of your loss and let the tears flow. And forgiveness to yourself will eventually be the answer. And you must forgive yourself. No one can tell you how or when or how long or how deeply. It no longer matters what you regret. Remember, I told you I'd return to this notion of forgiveness, because when we think about our lost loved one, we can only imagine a scenario of forgiveness from them. We must do the harder thing and give ourselves forgiveness and love. It's not a pale substitute for our love of them. It is love. So sit quietly with your sorrow in its rawness. Do it honor by feeling the pain. See the clarity in the love that's left behind. And whatever it is you regret, it's no match for those beautiful memories. Every spiritual tradition offers a form of silence as a means to access the right path, a means to peace, a chance for you to move forward. Regret often wears a cloak from the past. Hope is really your companion for the future. Move bravely towards that future. And as a poet said, let hope carry you like a river. Let it wrap its waters around you and carry you. Nothing for you to do but be carried by it, float in it, float on hope. When we allow ourselves the quietude of the present, it helps us float in hope. Turn away from your recriminations that masquerade as memory and float in hope. You are not being selfish sitting with your memories and your grief. It's work you never wanted, but now it's here. It's your reality. Your grief does not need rushing, just as rivers don't always rush. It does not need to be defined, and it cannot be limited. You will finally join the world when your wandering soul is ready. The memories are safely stowed and anchored when you and your God can both forgive each other. It's honorable work and not for the faint of heart. As I end my remarks, you must know I find that work incredibly courageous. May the universe hold you in perfect love. May God bless you and grant you peace.
Thank you, Judy. And now we will hear from a couple of our people from our social work team with two poems. So, Shani and Jude. Thank you. Thank you. So I'd like to read a poem, I Am Not Okay Today. I am not okay today. So in the absence of okay, sorry. I am not okay today. So in the absence of okay, what else can I be? I can be gentle, I can be unashamed, I can turn my pain into connection, I can be a student of stillness, I can be awake to nature, I can sharpen my empathy against the stone of my discomfort. I am not okay today. There are many, many worthy things. I'd like to read a poem by Margaret Mead. To the living I am gone, to the sorrowful I will never return. To the angry I was cheated, but to the happy I am at peace. And to the faithful I have never left. I cannot speak, but I can listen.
I cannot be seen, but I can be heard. So, as you stand upon a shore gazing at a beautiful sea, as you look upon a flower and admire its simplicity, remember me. Remember me in your heart, your thoughts and your memories of the times we loved, the times we cried, the times we fought, and the times we laughed. For if you always think of me, I will never have gone. Thank you, Shanju. So the next part of the service is a sort of a quiet reflection. And Ellie will come forward with a tray of flowers, and you are most welcome to come forward and take a flower from the tray and put it on the altar on behalf of your loved one. You can do that any time. Thanks.
Thank you. So that concludes the formal part of our ceremony today. You're welcome to stay to have a cup of tea and a bit to eat. I'd like to thank all of the people that kind of pulled this ceremony together. All of the staff, thank you. And thank you again all for coming. I'm sorry about the sun. It would have been good if it was overcast, but thank you. You're welcome to take some photos of the board and all of our loved ones up there if you'd like, but then please remember to take your photo with you before you go. Thank you very much.